Brendan, what's going on with you, young fella? Hey, gang. Salute, my brother. Salute. Let's keep moving this culture forward, man. No doubt. No doubt. Beagle, what's going on, man? Hey, gang, who you got coming on next? Okay. Illinois, right? Tibbs, I see you. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. My man. Nephew. Welcome to episode 72 of the Positive Impact Podcast. It's 518 Friday, where once a month I talk to a basketball figure in the 518 area code where Positive Impact took off. So we like to give back, man, and not forget the 518 who's done so much for the Positive Impact New York brand. Tonight's guest is University of Vermont assistant basketball coach, Mr. Hamlet Tibbs. There he is.
What's up, Dozier?
Tibbs, what's happening with you?
What's good, man? How are you?
I'm good. Looking extremely young. Man.
Damn. I'm trying.
How's
red
it going,
wine.
man? How's it
red,
going?
it's nice red wine, you know.
Yeah. Nah, for sure, man. So before we get started, I got to shout out my wife and say, hey, baby, you know what I mean? I can't do these things without her permission. So when she get on, I got to show her some love.
Absolutely.
So it's good to see you, man. It's been a long time, man, since we chopped it up, man. So first things first, talk about how you've been getting along during this pandemic. It's crazy, but talk about how you've kept busy.
I've been good, man. Taking it one day at a time. You know, obviously things have been crazy this year with everything that's been going on between the pandemic and the social injustices, the police brutality.
Yeah.
You know, when we got shut down back in March, and then everything was pretty much shut down and we couldn't do anything. It was a good opportunity to have some self-reflection time and
absolutely,
work on me, work on myself, and and try to stay busy, find things to do, read books, you know, listen to different podcasts, and was on a bunch of Zoom calls, a lot of Zoom calls, you
Yeah,
know,
right. Still new wave.
few months back, and you know, with all the, you know, different basketball Zoom calls that I was on, it was, you know, it was great. I was still able to kind of keep busy and keep learning.
Nah, no question about it, man. So take me back, man. Let's go back to the genesis of everything, man. And you know, obviously this game has done a lot for you. This game has given you a lot, but you know, I want to get into your story because you've also given a lot to the game, and you're, you're younger than me, so you're like, but you've given a lot to this game. So talk about the genesis of it all and where it started and how you developed the love for the game.
For me, well, it started right in, you know, in the 518, Albany, New York, where I was born, and I lived there until I was 11 years old. And I picked up a basketball at the age of 5, right? And at that time, my mom and my father, may he rest in peace, who died a few years ago, when they were together, you know, I lived right down the street from a YMCA, which he had worked at. So, you know, he was a maintenance guy at the YMCA and used to bring me over there, work the late night shifts, and I would just be in the gym by myself, you know, shooting the basketball until like 1 o'clock in the morning. Right. So that's kind of where it all started for me.
So talk to me. Give me the scouting report. Give me the scouting report on Hamlet Tibbs. Like, you know, like, did we have handle? Did he have hops? Did he have a jumper? Like, give me the scouting report on him.
Man, I was probably 5'11" at the time, 5'10", scrawny kid.
Right.
Was a point guard. I was a point guard, pass first, point guard. Okay. Get everybody involved. Didn't take a whole lot of shots, but also had a really good friend of mine too that was on my high school team who took all the shots too. So, okay. No, but I was a point guard, pass first point guard, and just, you know, get everybody involved, take open shots when I was open, and, you know, just give it my all, play hard, try to play defense the best that I could, and, you know, and that was that.
So throughout high school, so was there, you know, obviously you had hoop dreams, and so talk about, you know, like you went down to, you know, you got to West Virginia University. Talk about how you got from, you know, from high school down to University of West Virginia. Like, was that basketball driven, or, you know, was you just there as a student?
So, I mean, you know, like I said, I started playing the game when I was 5, and I loved the game of basketball, right? And obviously, when you're a young kid and you're playing, everyone's dream is to be a Division I basketball player, right? And that's not always the case. Obviously, right. You know, the numbers are what they are. Very low percentage of high school players actually go on to play Division I basketball. But at the time, that was my dream. That was my thing. I wanted to be a Division I basketball player. And, you know, quite honestly, I wasn't good enough. Right. But what drove me to West Virginia, my best friend went there, and they had my major. They had something that I was interested in that I wanted to study, which was athletic coaching education. Mm-hmm. And as I got older and I realized I wasn't, you know, good enough to play Division I basketball, mm-hmm. I was probably a Division III player, you know, maybe a Division II. I went to Hudson Valley before I went to West Virginia. Okay. And I went there. I was there for 3 years. I was on the team. I had made the team, tried out for team, made the team. Then I got booted. You know, midterm grades came out, and the grades weren't where they were supposed to be. You know, right. So, but I got my act together at Hudson Valley. Ended up graduating, and then I went to West Virginia. Like I said, my best friend went there. They had a major athletic coaching education, and I knew at that time I wanted to be a Division I basketball coach. Right. So that's what kind of led me to go out there. And then once I went out there, I became a student manager of the basketball team, with John Beeline being the head coach at the time. Okay. And built some great relationships out there, and some, you know, we had really good teams. You know, went to the Elite 8 and Sweet 16 the couple of years that I was a student manager. And, you know, some of those players back then that was on that team, I'm still really good friends with today.
So who was out there? Was Truck Bryan out there? Is he too young for that? Was it Deshaun
No,
Butler? And,
Truck was after me. Okay. You know, we had Dior Fisher, you know, Pat Beeline, John Beeline's son. Mike Gansey was on the team. Kevin Pittsnoggle, J.D. Collins, Tyrone Sally, you know, Frank Young. You know, really, really, really good basketball team. Really good basketball team.
Okay, so you graduate, you know what I mean? And, you know, I always make sure I highlight, you know, like people go away to college, but I think the most important thing is that we come back with that piece of paper, you know what I mean? So that piece of paper opens up a lot of doors. So I always try to make sure that I highlight that you got a degree from West Virginia University. That's nothing to play with. So, you know, talk about, you know, you graduate from West Virginia and you make your way back to the 518. You said, I know I want to coach. So talk about like the steps into becoming that coach and starting that journey to where you're at right now.
So when I graduated from West Virginia, I came back to the 518 area. My mom was living in Troy. We actually had moved to Troy, New York when I was 11 years old. So, you know, when I came back, you know, I was looking for a job and I didn't quite know exactly what I was going to do. So I ended up actually becoming a substitute teacher in the Albany school district, you know, bouncing around to the couple of middle schools out there, Hackett and Livingston. And while I was doing that, I started my master's. I actually was coaching modified girls basketball. It was like a combination of Livingston girls team and the Hackett girls team. We kind of combined those because, you know, we didn't have enough players to put a full team together. So we just combined the Livingston and Hackett girls team together to have one full team. And so I was just doing that. And then I was actually down at the Human Resources in Albany. I forget what I was going there for, but I actually ran into Brian Fruscio, you know, who's the head coach at Albany Academy and who I worked for when I was there. And we ran into each other and he's like, hey man, you ever want to come back to the boys side and, you know, come stop by Albany Academy? So I did. And long story short, I go to Albany Academy to meet him. He had a basketball camp, you know, he was running, he was doing his thing with the basketball camp and everything. Yeah. He was like, we talked for a few minutes. He was like, yeah, come back and let's meet next week or whatever. So I come back to meet him next week. He wasn't even there. I think he was trying to test me to see if I was serious or not. Right. So I ended up following up with him and calling him, and then we met, and you know, he laid the groundwork for me, and I became an assistant coach at Albany Academy while I was, you know, a substitute teacher, and then eventually he got me a teaching job there, and you know, I became a head coach for the freshman team there. And then, you know, I was doing the varsity coaching as an assistant as well for him.
No doubt. So let's talk about that relationship. You know, I had Coach Fruscio on here a few weeks back, somebody who I respect a ton. I know he's done a lot for you. So talk about what you learned there. Like, so talk about your, you know, how he helped you develop even more your passion for the game and kind of like, you know, your coaching foundation, right? Talk about everything that you learned while at Academy.
Yeah, I think, you know, he didn't micromanage me, right? And so he gave me a lot of responsibility. And so I was able to learn how to shoulder, you know, a lot of the little things that go unnoticed, you know, that you don't get a pat on the back for, right? You know, whether it was, you know, sweeping the floors there, doing film, doing scouting reports for him, you know, working out players. You know, he taught me a lot, and I was able to, you know, see how he operated as a head coach and how he had, you know, a lot of demand in his players, and he was, you know, he was a loving guy, you know, a loving coach who took care of his players, you know, and put his players first, cared for his players, but was very demanding of his players so that they would get better, not only on the court but off the court. So in that perspective, I learned a lot from him.
No doubt. And so talk about the Albany Academy culture, and do you still carry that around with you? So eventually you'll move up the ranks, right? And the goal is to become a head coach. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How much of that culture is instilled in you as a coach?
I think a lot, I think a lot, he, obviously he's a Hall of Fame coach, and like I said, he was a tough-minded guy, right, and demanded a lot of his players, and he would get the best out of all of his players, whether you're the number one player on the team versus the 15th player on the team. It didn't matter how good you were. He had the same expectations from the number one guy all the way down to the 15th guy, and like I said, but he cared about all of his players, and he did, obviously he did a lot then, and he's doing a lot now for a lot of, young men in that area. So I carry that with me, and, in terms of want to be able to put the players first and be there for your players, and, making sure that they know that you love them and you care about them.
No question about it. So we talk about the Albany Academy culture, right? So then you started double dipping a little bit, right? So you got Frush in the high school season, right? But then you got Jim Hart.
Yes.
Another well-respected, gentleman in
the Godfather, the legend himself.
With the City Rock. So talk about that, right? Because you was really getting the best of both worlds up there. You know what I mean? Like you was getting that. You was getting put in that fire all year round. So you go from coaching Albany Academy, right, and now you're coaching a lot of the best kids from all over now in the spring and the summertime with the City Rock. So talk about that and the difference of high school basketball, then getting out there on the circuit in the spring and the summertime.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously Jim Hart, Coach Hart, call him Jimmy Ray.
Yeah.
He runs a first class AAU program organization. Is the best in New York, and having the opportunity to coach for that program was a blessing, because any kid in the 518, any basketball player growing up, you wanted to play for the Albany City Rocks, right? Because that's the best AAU program, in all of New York, and definitely in the Albany area. So, growing up, you wanted to be a part of that, but you had to be really good to be a part of that program. And I wasn't that good to be a part of that basketball program. So to be able to coach for that program, knowing how elite that program was and still is to this day, was just a blessing. And Jim Hart, he's one of my mentors and one of my really, really good friends. And he has helped me a lot throughout my career. And I just think once I got with the Albany City Rocks, it was, kind of took me to the next level in terms of, meeting different people and building my network. And then obviously coaching on the EYBL against some really great programs, other AAU programs in that league. And you're coaching, against the best of the best AAU coaches, AAU programs, right? And then you got the best players on that circuit. So it's top notch and it's high level from the coaching perspective, and all of the players that are on that circuit. It's a really high level AAU event, and I was happy to be a part of it.
So no question. I mean, so like you said, I think we hit on it the most, right? So like the networking, right, is such a huge piece. So it's not like, hey, Tibbs, go coach this team, but it's almost like you kind of made it. You're building the Hamlet Tibbs brand, right? You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, not only am I here coaching, I'm doing the right things. I'm walking the right way and everything. I'm shaking hands and looking people in the eye, which is something that we taught the kids so much, because we never know who's watching, right? You had goals, right? So you wanted to get to this level at some point. And I know that this is a stepping stone. So if given the opportunity, I got to do right with this opportunity, right? Because as easy as that it was given to me, it could be easily taken away from you. So you had to build some longevity, and you had to build your rep the right way to put yourself in a position. So talk about that. Like, what were some of your philosophies when you were coaching?
When I was coaching, it was basically, try to get the most out of the players. It's all about the players, first, and, giving them an opportunity and a platform to get, to get looks, to get college looks, and to get, scholarship offers, and, to send those kids off to college, to whatever school that they wanted to go to. So, it was about the players more than it was about me, so I never really thought in turn about myself and me coaching and winning games on a circuit and things like that. I was just trying to, do my best to coach them and, help them reach their goals and make them get better individually with practices and everything, and having those relationships with them, and, being a mentor to them. And I thought I did that to the best of my ability. So I had on my the last AAU City Rocks program that I coached, the 17U EYBL team, I think 11 of the 12 players went on to play Division I basketball.
Which is the ultimate goal, right? Like, we trying to get kids to go to school for free. That's the the goal. That's the goal. So it's glitz and glamour, though, right? So on the outside looking in, like, oh, you coach a Nike EYBL team. So I've had other AAU, grassroots coaches on here. I've had other college coaches on here, right? And we talk about how it looks from the outside looking in, right? Oh, they got all the freshest sneakers, right? They get to go here, they fly here, they go there, right? But it's not an easy job as a coach, right? You got to manage egos, right? Because everybody in your team think they nice. You know what I'm saying? And so talk about that side of it, right? And let's look at, like, you're a young guy, right? Like, if you stood next to some of your players, you don't look like you could be the coach. You look like you could be one of the players. So, but you had to massage all these egos and merge all these egos together to have some success out there. Talk about how hard that was.
For sure. And people don't realize too, like, I was doing laundry at night, washing the jerseys, washing the uniforms, getting them ready for, the next day, because you played 3 or 4 games in a day, and then you got to get ready, get up at 7 o'clock in the morning because you'll have a 8 o'clock game the next day, right? So, and then you got to make sure that the players are, doing the right things, and, off the court while they're at the hotel, and, bed check and all of that, and making sure they're staying out of trouble. Those are all other things that people don't realize, that as AAU coaches, that we have a responsibility of the kids, first and foremost, and making sure they stay out of trouble. And then, there's all the little intangible things that you have to do and make sure that you're prepared for them to play the next day. And then, I think, what was the,
I think you hit it. Like, it's just like people think like it's such a great job, and it is. It's a big opportunity, but it's a lot. Like, so talk about how you had to massage the ego.
Yeah, the egos.
Make them play on the same page.
Right. So, and that's the challenge too, right? Because how many players you're carrying on that team, say 10 or 12 players that you're carrying, all of those players are trying to get a Division I scholarship, right? And then, so not only do you have to massage the egos, but you also have to be able to deal with the parents as well,
right?
Which is a super difficult challenge, because the parents want, their kid to be playing 20, 25 minutes, right? And they want their son to be able to get the exposure and to pick up offers, for their son. So, so that could be a challenge as well, because someone could be playing well, and you playing, Johnny over Bobby, but Bobby's parents might think he's better than Johnny.
Absolutely.
Right? So there's times after games, you got parents coming up to you, why you're not playing my son? You're not playing my son enough, and he needs to be doing this, or he needs to be the point guard, or the team was like, so they trying to be the coach instead of the parent. And so, you just got to be able to, you know, have thick skin and be able to massage, you know, all those egos from the parents and to the players. And, you know, I thought I did the best that I could with all of that. And especially with my personality, I don't really take anything personal. So I was able to, you know, deal with all of that.
Right. So like we said, man, you walked that walk, man. You built a positive name for yourself, very, you know, very respected. Talk about how the UVM position came about. Like, when did you decide? How easy or how hard of it was a decision to leave Academy and take the UVM job?
Well, wasn't a hard decision because being a Division I coach was my dream job. So it wasn't a hard decision to leave. I mean, it was hard in terms of, like, you know, you built such a great relationship with all the kids and the people in the Albany area, and, you know, the coaches and the coaching staff, and all those relationships that I had there were awesome and phenomenal, right? So it was, you know, when I was leaving, I was sad, you know, I was definitely sad, but I was also happy at the same time that I'm going to be a Division I assistant coach at a really good, you know, basketball program, Division I mid-major, you know, one of the best in the country, right? At that. So I was extremely lucky and extremely blessed to be, you know, fulfilling my dream job, you know, my dream and my goals, and being an assistant coach. So I was extremely happy when I got the job, for sure.
Nah, we were happy for you. You deserve it. You know, you deserved it. But now I want to get back to the glitz and glamour, right? So we talked about, you're a Nike EYBL coach. That's dope. Now you're a Division I coach. Oh my God, like, you must got it good. There's some work. Talk to the viewers about some work, because a lot of people out there think that they want to be coaches, right? Because they see how it looks on game day, right? So you might post a picture. There's some free sneakers involved. There's some nice sweatsuits involved, right? There's flights, and, you know, on game day you suited and booted. It looks real good on TV. But again, it's the behind the scenes stuff that they don't see. The scouting, the recruiting, the workouts, and paying attention to the kids, right? So talk about that. Like, what's a typical day for Coach Tibbs?
Wow, you pretty much said it. You pretty much said it. It's, you know, the college game is a lot different from the high school game. And I think, you know, the biggest adjustment for me when I became an assistant coach is, you know, you only know what you know, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're, you know, an assistant high school coach and you haven't had the experience at the Division I level, you know, everyone thinks that they can, you know, be a Division I assistant coach, and that they can, you know, do the job and, you know, and be really, really good at it. But it takes, when you don't have the experience at the Division I level, because I didn't have any, you know, true Division I coaching experience, right? I was a student manager, but that's not really the same. And that, you know, and I was far removed from that, right? So you only know what you know, and I only knew what I knew at the high school level. Once you get to the Division I basketball program, it's a whole different ballgame. You have to know, you know, you have to learn the head coach's defensive philosophy, offensive philosophy. You have to get to know the coaching staff. You got to get to know the people at the university, the athletic director, administration, you know, the strength and conditioning coach, and the academic advisors. Like, you got to get to know everybody, you know, within the program. And then you have to be able to learn quickly, right, about the basketball piece, you know, the offensive philosophy and defensive philosophy and the terminology. And so you have to get that down, so you can be able to, you know, function and practice and be able to communicate with the players, right, be on the same page as everybody. So that took some probably a couple of years to learn a whole new system and everything, and how Coach Becker, you know, ran his offense and defense and everything like that. And but yeah, it's a lot of work. But you gotta put the time in. And then, like you said, you got, you know, scouting reports, and you got to go on the road recruiting, and, you know, you're recruiting, you know, basically 24/7, 365 pretty much,
Right.
you know, whether it's being on the phone, making phone calls late at night, talking to different high school coaches, AAU coaches, you know, calling recruits, you know, obviously it's a lot of work, definitely a lot
Nah,
of work for sure,
no
you know.
doubt. You up for the task though, you know what I'm saying? You
Yeah,
up for the
yeah, and
task,
then you
so
know you got the individual workouts and
yeah.
all of that, you know. So it's a lot. It's definitely a lot for sure.
Nah, no doubt, no doubt.
But
So
you have to love it, you know. You have to love it, and you have to have a passion for it. And
right.
you know, like I said, this is my dream job, and so it's you know I would do this for free. So
Absolutely. Nah, no question. So March comes around and Vermont is a perennial NCAA team, right? Always in the, up for, always in the American East and playing for the championship and stuff. And, you know, this COVID thing hits. Tell me about where you were at and what was going on when COVID shut everything down.
well, we were 1 day away from playing in the conference tournament championship game. Right, we were supposed to play Hartford,
Mm-hmm.
and that week, you know, we play on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. You know, conference tournament championship game every year is a Saturday game, 11 o'clock in the morning on ESPN2, and we were going to play the game, like you know, and I believe we got in the office on Friday. At that point, it was like, yeah, we're still playing. But then the NBA had canceled their season. And once that happened, well, first the Ivy League canceled, right?
Mm-hmm.
They canceled their conference tournament.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, well, this might be leading to something bigger. And then when the NBA canceled, then
Yeah.
that's when everything shut.
Everybody, no
Everybody
doubt.
canceled, right? So, you know, it was disappointing. It was disappointing because you feel for the players, everybody, you know, worked so hard all year to get to that point, and you know, and that's our goal every year is to win a championship.
Right.
You know, is get to the conference tournament, have an opportunity to compete for a championship, and go to the NCAA tournament. You know, and that's what we expect. You know, we expect to win a championship every year. So we put the you put the long hours in, and you know. For it to get canceled like that was, you know, it was pretty heartbreaking, especially, you know, for your seniors and,
Absolutely.
you know, but at least, you know, for the seniors, silver lining is their very last college game, they went out with a win.
Right.
So it was tough. Yeah, it was definitely tough, but it's something that, you know, everyone had to deal with.
No doubt about it. So now we're dealing with that, right? And now all of a sudden, the George Floyd murder happens, right? Breonna Taylor, and so we have this whole, we have this COVID pandemic, and then we have this social injustice pandemic, right? Which kind of like is going on in our country and stuff like that. So, two things I want you to speak on. Number one is I want you to tell me, if you're willing to share with us, how the coaching staff at Vermont handled it, like getting their plays together, like once this happened, and what you guys did to support your players. And then two, I want you to talk about your involvement with Coaches for Change. You know what I'm saying? And which I think is a great organization. Shout out to our guy, Coach Carm over at Siena. So talk about that. Like talk about how the coaching staff, what the coaching staff did to support like the African American players in the program, and then talk about your work with Coaches for Change.
Yeah, we obviously are very close with, we're a very close, tight knit family group here, at the University of Vermont with our basketball program, right? So we met with our players via Zoom, and we had conversations and with our players, as collectively and individually, to reach out to them, and Coach Becker, had a conversation with the team and our staff, and was like, just being there to support them, and if they had anything that they wanted to get off their chest, and talk about the situation, and they had an opportunity to do that, and we met as a team, and people talked on the team, and expressed their feelings and things like that, and we were just there to comfort our players and let them know we were standing behind them, obviously specifically the the black players and the players of color on our basketball team. We just want them to know that we're there to support them in any way, like we do always. So, as a program, we've been through different trials and tribulations as a program, and we always know how to handle things as a team. And Coach Becker has done a great job. Anytime there were issues within the program or something happened to a player or something, the players knew that the coaches always had their back, with anything. So, and just like the George Floyd killing and everything, the social injustice that going on, want to let the players know that we have their back and we're there for them and we support them in anything that they want to do. So.
Absolutely. And then talk about how you got involved with Coaches for Change.
Yeah, Carm, obviously me and Carm been friends for a super long time. And, Carm actually, when I was, trying to get into business, Carm was there from, day one, always, supporting me and helping me. So shout out to Carm. Absolutely. But Carm texted me and just asked, he asked me if I wanted to be a part of Coaches for Change. And I was, no hesitation. I said, yeah, let's do it, And then it is what it is now. It became this big thing, very successful, over 100 different coaches from both the men's and women's side of the game. And you got strength and conditioning coaches. And, it's a really big, diverse group and diverse organization. And, our whole thing with, we're pushing the whole voting thing. So, that was like our first initiative, obviously, with the current election that just passed. We wanted to get all our student athletes to get out there, register to vote, and get them out there to vote. So, and I think we had the biggest turnout of voting for young students and young people in general, and all the students across the country a lot of them got out there and voted. So it was a success.
Nice. So one of the pillars of Coaches for Change is to educate, right? So talk about it at the University of Vermont. What did you guys do to educate your student athletes, obviously your basketball players, on the importance of voting, and like what kind of questions did they have for you guys?
Well, so I'm part of the Athletics Inclusive Excellence Committee here too at Vermont. Mm-hmm. So, I was able to kind of work hand in hand with the Coaches for Change and, the committee that I'm on here. And I was able to use the Coaches for Change website to help educate our student athletes here on how to vote, how to register to vote, and which is, obviously a great resource. And, you go on there and, if you never voted before, you can click on a little button to say you didn't vote, but there's everything on there that explains to you how to register to vote, the process of voting, what goes into it, and everything like that, all that type of information. Mm-hmm. And so I use that, I use that with our players, and, and we actually used it in general with all the, for all the other programs at our school. Our student athletes were able to kind of use that as a resource, which was cool.
Yeah, no question. It's really it's dope, man. So talk about the challenges, right? Because like we're still in the midst of this pandemic, right? And numbers are spiking again. So talk about the challenges of getting on court time, the practices, and the scheduling of games. So talk about what protocols you guys are using in your daily outings.
Yeah, well, our non-conference games got canceled. We had multiple shutdowns, where someone had tested positive in our group. So, our guys have been in and out of quarantine, and it's been really challenging, really tough on our players to go through that. But they've been able to stick it out. We've practiced the last couple of weeks with no interruptions. So hopefully we can continue to keep that going. And, our first game is December 19th on the road at UMass Lowell. So we'll have another 2 weeks of full practice. Hopefully we can get through it without anyone testing positive and no interruptions, and to keep the flow of practices going and start playing games, because we haven't played a game yet. Other people in the country have played games.
Right.
So it's definitely been tough, definitely been a challenge. We have to all the coaches have to wear a mask at practice. We get tested 3 times a week. And that's how it's going right now. So we're just hoping for the best, man.
Nah, no question about that. No question. So as we get ready to wrap this thing up, I got some quick hitters for you. I'm gonna ask you some questions. Might be a couple tough questions. Might be a couple questions that might get you in trouble, but I'm gonna ask these hard hitting questions. Right now. So first one is, I want you to think about, and I want you to go back to your coaching and like on that circuit, like, who's the toughest player that you felt like you coached against? Like, there wasn't an answer for him. Like, who was that player that you saw out there that was amazing? Like, you knew he was special.
Well, I would probably have to say Jason Tatum or Malik Monk.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But we beat Jason Tatum's team.
Okay.
But we double teamed them the whole game.
Hey, look, whatever you got to do to win, man.
Exactly. And Malik Monk, he hit a game winner against our team. So I would probably say one of those 2 guys.
Okay. You are a known sneakerhead. A known sneakerhead. Top 3 Jordans, 1 through 3. Name them. Your favorite. You know what I'm saying?
My favorite Jordans?
Yeah.
Did it have to be just the number, or like you want the specific Jordan shoe? Like,
you're a sneakerhead. However you have to explain it, because I know 1, 2, and 3. That's all I really know. Tell me if they call the Bread 11s or whatever the crazy names that you got for them. Give me your top 3.
I love the Jordan 1s, the 3s, and the 4s.
Okay.
So those are my favorite Jordans. And probably the Bread 4s, the 88 3s, the white with the black and red cement joints that he wore in the dunk contest in 88. Yeah. Those. And then any of the colorways of the 1s are, I love the 1s as well.
No question. What's the sneaker room looking like right now? You had to get an extra bedroom at your apartment for the sneakers, or?
Man, they stacked up over there right now. I'm gonna need an extra room though. I definitely gonna need an extra room.
I know all about it. Sure. So you about to have a dinner. Give me 3, and I'm gonna make it specific, 3 coaches that are alive that you would have at that dinner with you, and why?
That's a great question. 3 coaches at a dinner. Wow. I gotta think. I don't know. That's tough. That's real tough. That's real tough.
Yeah, we'll come now. You owe me that one day. I'll let you. You can text me that answer one day.
That's real, because there's a lot of. I don't want to offend nobody.
Nah, listen. Now you can't offend no coaches. But what I'm about to ask you,
there's a lot of great coaches. There's a lot of great coaches out there.
What I'm about to ask you right now, this is gonna be tougher than that one. And
but that's a great question. I need to put some thought into that, because I don't want to just name names, without really thinking about why I would have them at the dinner table. So are you just talking like assistant coaches, are you talking head coaches? Or
it could be any coach you want. So if it was me, I gotta have Wooden there, right? I gotta have Wooden for that knowledge, right? And everything that he accomplished, right? I gotta have that in the pyramid of coaching.
Okay.
Right? Then I gotta have John Thompson for everything that he stood for. John Thompson was a giant in this game. So I
May
gotta
he,
have
may he rest in peace. Yep.
Yes, I gotta have John Thompson, and then I gotta have John Chaney. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are guys, you know, those are my guys, you know what I'm saying, that I would love to just have to pick their brains because of everything that they stood for.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would want to sneak Nolan Richardson up in there too. So I love what the black coaches had stood for back in that day and what they, you know, boycotting for, you know, the Prop 42s back in the day, right? Like, we don't have that African American giant in the game right now. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so
yeah.
that's what it would be for me. So, you know what I mean? Like, you know, Coach K is great. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of great coaches out there, but for me, and in my era, like, that's what it's about. That was what it was about for me. Like, John Thompson was like what Coach K is right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
For sure.
And you know what I mean? So that's what it was about. That's what it would do for me. But what I need to find out from you right now, and I'm not letting you out of this one, I need 5. I need 5 from the 518.
5 coaches?
Nope. Give me your top 5 players from the 518 right now. Give me a squad.
Ooh.
Give me the squad right now.
Top 5 players in the 518. Okay.
Give me a squad. Give me a squad.
I'm gonna go Taylor Battle.
Okay.
Lionel Chalmers. James Thomas.
Okay.
At the 5.
Okay.
So I got Taylor. I got Lionel. I got James Thomas. I'll probably have to go Jason McCreath at the 4.
Okay.
And then Jimmer Fredette.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start 3 guard. I'm gonna have those 3 guards. Jason McCreath at the 4 and James Thomas at the 5.
Okay, there it is. There it is. You handle that better than the coaches. Okay, I got you. I got you. So, last question: when it's all said and done, man, you hang up your whistle, man, and you clean out your office for the last time, man. How does Hamlet Tibbs want to be remembered?
Someone that was dedicated to his craft, cared about people. You know, was a positive, had a positive influence on people's lives. Yeah, just a great human being, man.
Nah, no question. You're definitely on your way to accomplishing all of that, man. Like I said, we've known each other for a minute now, man, and you're exactly where I thought you would be. You know, there's more for you to come in the future, like, no doubt. I know how much, like I said, I know how much this game has given to you, but I also know how much that you've put in the game. So where you're at right now, you deserve it because you put the work in, and I know you're going to continue to put the work in. So I appreciate you coming on here tonight, man, and spending some time with me and chopping it up, man. And, you know, hopefully at some point, man, I look forward to catching y'all out there if y'all can get a game in. And one day, you know, we'll get this thing open back up, man. And when y'all come down to the Brook, man, you know, we'll definitely check you out.
For sure, absolutely. I appreciate you, Dozier. Thanks for having me on, man. And you know, that you've made an impact on many people's lives in the 518 area. So, you know, I've always admired you from afar and all the hard work that you put in and having an impact on young people's lives. And you continue to do great things. So keep doing your thing, brother. It's great to see you, and stay safe, man.
No doubt. You do the same, man. And we'll talk soon.
All right, brother. Take care.
All right, baby. Appreciate
All
you.
right. Peace.
Yes, sir.